Yeah.
Okay. Now it starts recording. Let me.
Now we have to be good.
Yeah, I hear that.
是我继续他的题目。Okay, I need to find my guess is this. Not sure. Okay. Okay.
What are you missing? You mean yours?
Yeah.
Can you see the share screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I will come to copy.
So is that time?
Take my time, please.
I took your time.
Yes. Go to get your flash drive.
Okay. Today, how many? I don't know how many. Okay, I guess people are coming. So good evening, everyone. So happy to be here with you and happy because this is the last chapter. And this in the last chapter, it entitled as Final Instructions. Why it is called Final Instructions? It's because Master Huineng knows that he was about to enter Nirvana. So he knew that his life is going to end soon. So he has he gathered his important disciples, and in total there are 10 to come in front of his deathbed and giving instructions. And these are very important. As we know that when Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, at the very end of his days, he also have the last teachings to his disciples. And so we are very eager to know what would be Master Huineng's final instructions. So are you ready? Yes. Okay. Every time okay. So in total, in the English version of the commentaries made by Venerable Master Xing Yun, in total there are 6 sections. So the first section, it talks about the 36 pairs and the middle way. So I think the great masters at the time of his final days, he thought about how his disciples will continue his teaching to the following generations. So this is what he instructed. He says that because people suffer, it's because of living under the dual world. They have duality concept about the life, about the world. For example, long and short, bright and dark, okay, and tall and short. So all these are what we call dualistic concept. But he says that dualities are inherently empty. It's because everything in the world is empty, impermanent, non-substantial, existing substantial substance there. So not only physically in the materialistic world is empty, but also in our thinking, our thought is also changing all the time. And therefore, by its nature, it's empty. And enabled to transcend, to go beyond all these dualistic idea, concepts, then it's better to follow the middle way. Okay, he says that only the middle way can offer us transcendence. So we have heard a lot about the middle way, and the Buddha himself, his life experience, life story of the Buddha also demonstrate how a middle path should be like. For example, before he renounced the palace life, he lived a very luxurious life. He has all kinds of pleasures and all kinds of entertainment. But after he renounced the household life, he went to the forest for 6 years of ascetic practice. He went to another extreme. Okay? So both extremes won't lead him to liberation of suffering. And so therefore, he followed the middle path. Okay? And that's how he go beyond the dualistic way of life. So basically, the first session of Venerable Master Xing Yun's commentaries is about this. And so in the text itself, it categorized the 36 pairs into 3 categories. There are 5 pairs of insentient beings. For example, sun and moon, light and darkness, and so on. You can read more details in the text. And the second category is language and characteristics. For example, motion and stillness, pure and defiled, old and young, and so on. The third category is functions of intrinsic nature, such as affliction and body, joy and anger, and so on. Well, anyway, you don't have to memorize all these 36 pairs. Just remember that the pair are 2 sides of a coin, okay? Men and women, okay? For example, black and white, and poor and rich, okay? Like this, okay? So that would be the first section. It talks about detach the dualistic concept and follow the middle path, which is not only in thinking, in thought, but also we can put that in our daily life practice, that we have to study diligently, but on the other hand, we have to take care of our health, so that we need an appropriate hours of break or sleep, okay? And so that would be the first section. Any questions so far? So far? Okay, if not, then I continue. The second section is talking about real and false, motion and stillness. Okay, so after the 36 pairs and the middle path, the teaching, then he give example of the pair of real and false. And in our daily life, we think we are the life that we are living now, every day, it's real. But actually, to see from the ultimate perspective, Buddhist view, then it's false. Why? Because we think everything is real. And then we think that the material, the table, the book, it would exist, okay, there forever. But actually, it's fading away moment by moment. But the naked eyes cannot see that in this short period of time of a lifespan of about, averagely speaking, 80 years. we cannot see that. But if you lengthen our lifespan after 1,000 years, 2,000 years, all these material things would become dust. Right? So what is real? What is false? The master Huineng would like us to think deeper about that. Now it's very interesting here. It used the pair of motion and stillness, or in Chinese, we say dong and jing. But the dong and jing is very different from what we normally use that in our daily life language. The motion, of course, is coming and going. But what is coming and going here especially refers to life coming and going. And to put it in a more common, simple language, that is life and death. So that is motion. And then what is the stillness? And it refers to nirvana. Right? So as a practitioner, we living in a life of coming and going. And we experience that not only our surroundings, but also ourselves. Everything is coming and going. Okay? And you can pay attention to what you experience in your 3 meals, for example. And if you eat your meal attentively, focus, very mindful, then you will realize that what is coming and what is going in the food you are eating. Okay, but because normally we don't pay attention to that, so the thing eating, it becomes fixed. Okay, it seems that it's something exists there, but actually it's a moment by moment. The food is coming and going, and the people who sitting having the meal with us is also coming and going, and we, the person who is eating, is also coming and going moment by moment. This person eating is changing all the time. Okay, so if you pay attention to all this, then we're living in motion, coming and going all the time. But what is stillness? Stillness is nirvana. Maybe we should think about it. And what is that stillness in the matter, in the example that I just given you, eating? Okay, what would I be like if I'm doing this eating, not based on the idea of motion, but what if I'm in a status of stillness and I'm still eating? What would that be? Okay. Anyone would like to try? I just finished my my dinner before the class. So I still feel food in my stomach. So for me, it's coming and going. The food that I just taken and is digested, still inside my body, but I already feel the difference. I'm not so full as when I was eating the meal. Right? But what is, sorry, what is that? Okay. So what if I were an enlightened person, and then I can enjoy my meal, but not in the status of motion, but in the status of stillness? What would that be? Anyone would like to try? It's not in the book, but Anyone would like to try to feel how it would be like if you were the Buddha taking the 3 meals?
Like, I think maybe it would have to be in my mind. Stillness would have to be in my mind. That's the only thing I can think of. It can't be in my body. That's the only thing I can think of.
Okay. So for you, that nirvana, that stillness, only exists in the mind, not in the body. Okay. So good start. Anyone would like to continue?
Before, I think when we enjoy the meal, usually we say, oh, this is so delicious, this is so spicy, this is so something. And then, but I guess if a person enlightened and they eat, just enjoy their food. They don't feel those way. Of course, they feel they understanding very well, but they don't attach on it. And they don't let the food drag their mind. And then in the other words, in the daily life, they don't let people's word in their mouths drag your mind, make you angry or make you happy or make you lose your mind. And then so and so. I think this is the way I guess the enlightened one will feel like that way. Thank you.
Okay. So anything that you eat and then you will not be influenced by the food, the material you eat. Still, you can have that happy feeling of eating. Okay. Okay. What else? Any other thought? Don't you want to guess how you would feel like when you get enlightened? Pei Ping, finally you are in the class.
Okay.
So you have to say something.
Okay, I'm going to try. I would think that when you're in the stillness state of mind, I would think that we are in the meditative, concentrated mind, and you're very focused and very mindful with the food that you're eating, the moment you're having the food. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. So in your case, you're still aware of the food. Okay. You were not separating the feeling and the food you are eating.
Right.
Okay. But what would be that different from what you are as an ordinary person eating?
The difference is that most of the people, we just like eat, we always rush and we might always wondering. But I'm thinking if we are in the nirvana mind, you are very focused on what you're doing. You're aware of what you're doing at that moment. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know whether it's correct or not, but
there's no correct answer because all of us are not yet enlightened.
Thank you.
But maybe I just give you an example that once I was having a meal with my master, Venerable Master Xing Yun. And the experience of eating, have dined with a great master, you know, it was quite an experience that he was eating, but he was not selective in eating. He just take the amount of food that he needs, and then you don't see that for one dish, maybe sometimes for us, if we like to eat something and then we will eat more, but you don't see that in him. And it seems by the end of the meal, I feel that maybe he need not to have that meal, but he was just because we are there, and then he was there, and then he sort of stay being with us, and then take the food. He was not asking more for certain dish. That's how I feel. And therefore, I would apply it to the stillness here, nirvana. It's in a state that you just take it. And if you don't have enough of that, you will not ask for more. And when that is time to finish the meal, you just finish. You don't think that I need more. Okay. Am I talking right? I don't know how to express that. Okay. So an enlightened person still take food. He is still just like every one of us. The difference is that we ordinary human beings, we still have our likes and dislikes, our preferences in choosing the food we like, or not taking the food we dislike. So if we apply this kind of mindset to everything we do in our daily life, then we will be liberated from suffering. It's because we choose. We are very selective in a lot of things. That's why we suffer. And so the real and force, motion and stillness, for me, it's a great, wonderful teaching, but very difficult to put into practice in our daily life. Okay, let me.
Let's see if we have a question.
Yes.
So if that's what it's like to eat with a still mind, what is it like if one transcends both motion and stillness, like the instructions say?
We misunderstand that when we say not moving, we automatically think that, oh, this is someone who would not move still, just like a piece of wood or rock, but it's not. Okay? It's being very flexible to adjust himself or herself to any conditions. Okay, and that is why we say the middle path. The middle path is not just one path; it's a lot of paths. And which middle path you choose, that depends on the conditions you are in. Aina, you want to say anything?
Yeah, I was thinking about that it's all one, that the stillness is the ability to see the coming and going, but not come and go.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Coming and going, we ordinary people, we see coming, going, but the middle path is let it come and let it go.
Yes.
The nirvana is not stopping in one point, okay? And we live in a world of coming and going. And since our surroundings are coming and going, so our mind is also coming and going. But a person who attains nirvana can let things come and let things go without being moved by this coming and going. Okay?
It's like we identify ourselves with the coming and going.
Yeah, you can say that. Okay. Say, just like in this class, perhaps, okay, take this for an example. At the beginning, I have 100 students, and then by and by, it becomes 30, 20, 10. 1. Okay, students coming, numbers increase and decrease, and students coming and going. But as a lecturer, I should not come and go with the students. Okay, I should accept. If I take you as part of me, and my being not moving is also coming and going. Okay, because we are all together. The teacher and the students are one. Okay, so your coming and going is also my coming and going, but I have to continue to stay. But you can come and go. And if I am an enlightened person, I will not be influenced by your coming and going. Okay, so let's continue to next section. Okay, so it is an example, a Koan story, which is very famous among Chinese Buddhists. That is the Koan depicting the interaction, right, between the scholar Su Dongpo and the very advanced monk Fo Yin, Chan Master Fo Yin. So one day, the scholar Su Dongpo wrote a poem, okay, and then that poem depicting his understanding about Dharma, and he thought that he has got enlightened in certain way. So the poem read like this: bowing heaven within heaven, a light that illuminates the boundless universe. See how he described his enlightened status of enlightened mind, that the world in his mind is very big, okay, and very bright. And he said, the 8 winds cannot move me. So the 8 winds, people praise him or people blame him, scolding at him, and then the gaining high positions or being deposed to a very low position. All these ups and downs in life. He says that all these 8 winds cannot move me. Wow, that would be some kind of samadhi. And he said, sitting mindfully upon the purple golden lotus, meaning, you know, the lotus seed has the meaning of that you are like the Dharma king or the enlightened person, just like the Buddha or the Bodhisattvas. So sitting mindfully on the purple golden lotus, meaning that he has attained a very high position, status of mind. And so he sent his poem to his good friend, Master Chan Master Fo Yin. And Chan Master Fo Yin just wrote a Chinese word. Again, in English, it translated as fault, okay? And put that on the piece of paper and then send it back by the attendant. Then Su Dongpo, the scholar, upon seeing that, got very angry. And then so immediately he took the ride of the boat, and then he went to argue with the Chan Master Fo Yin. And you see on this picture, it seems that the Chan Master Fo Yin already expect that this scholar would come to him for argument. And so the conversation is very interesting. And the scholar says, why you gave me such a comment that it seems that my poems is of no value at all. And the master says, the Chan master says that you said on the third line of your poem, you said the 8 winds cannot move you, but I just one character, one word, and then you are here, you are moved by just one word. So from this poem, we can see that understanding the doctrinal teaching of the Buddha is one thing, but whether you can put that into practice is quite another. That's why I honestly tell you, I am not yet there, though I can tell you about how it would be like if you were at the status of nirvana. Okay, so in the text, it continued to say that the deluded mind is mastered by the lotus. The lotus here refers to the Lotus Sutra. And it says that if you are still ignorant, not knowing the reality of life, then the Lotus Sutra is your guide. You just follow the teaching of the Lotus Sutra. But for a person who got awakened, enlightened, he masters the lotus, meaning that enlightened person can make use of the Lotus Sutra to help others. Okay, so now you can see the difference between the deluded person and the awakened one. So if one is able to master anything, he is the same as the Tathagata, means that he is the same as the Buddha, the fully enlightened one. Meaning that we learn the teaching, of course, while we are studying the text, it seems that, yeah, we understand the teaching, okay? But this is just the first level, okay? We are mastered by the teaching, okay? Passively mastered by the doctrinal teaching of the Buddha. What we need to go a step further is that we need to make use of the teaching, okay, to change our life, to better our life. And then not only better our life, but also help others to better their lives. And if we can do that, we will almost the same as the Tathagata. Okay. Any questions? Okay. If not, then I continue. Okay, the third one, it talks about single form samadhi and single practice samadhi. Now, the samadhi topic is always a challenge for most of the Buddhist students. So here, the samadhi, according to the text, it defines as perfect absorption, meaning that your mind, okay, is in a very focused status, perfect, 100% absorbed, right? Absorbing and upholding tranquility and right meditative concentration. So in other words, the mind settling on a single state or place, and that is samadhi. So many people, they would like to practice to attain samadhi and sitting in a meditation room, hoping that they can experience that momentary of samadhi. And that is the settle your mind in a single state or in a single place. Now, many times in our daily life, we can also experience that, especially when a parent paying attention to the newborn babies, okay, or the baby, the toddler who just learned how to walk, and pay very close attention to the baby, okay? And that, I would say sometimes the parents are in a single state of samadhi, okay, because very focused. And by saying that, we can also apply the single mindfulness, a single-minded concentration. We can apply that status of mind in almost everything in our daily life if we want to. okay? But it takes training to do that. And Master Xing Yun is saying that we can practice meditation in 24 hours in our daily life, right? If we choose to. And it need not to be in a meditation room. And I share this with my meditation class here in Austin, and many of them disagree with me. Okay? They say that it still takes regular meditation practice to train the mind. But I say that if you have a very tight schedule, you cannot afford to go to a temple and join the meditation retreat on regular basis, then what are you going to do? Okay, you may get frustrated that you cannot go to a meditation class. So the Master Huineng's Chan and his explanation, his interpretation of single form samadhi and single practice samadhi is very important and very useful. And if you have prepared for the class today, if you have read this chapter, the third section, then you would maybe it would help you to be more mindful in your daily life practice instead of just practice meditation in a meditation room. It says that all cultivation emphasizes understanding the mind. And that is 10. And that is what we want in meditation, in whether you apply to do meditation practice in a meditation room, a meditation retreat, or you just meditation students and you want to start practicing meditation. Now just keep that in mind, that while we talk about I want to improve my cultivation, and what we want is to understand our mind, right? If we don't understand our mind, there's no point in just keeping your mind in one single state or in one single place, okay? And meditation class is just a tool to help us. But the most important thing is that we, in our daily life, in everything we do, every word we say, we want it to guide us to understand our mind. Any comment on this? Do you agree with me that there is no need to go to a meditation class to tell yourself that you have cultivated your mind? You can cultivate your mind in teaching a class, in taking a meal. Just I give you the example. In doing your job. Yes, Aina?
Yeah, I was thinking about yesterday, I was working on a curriculum, and that in the process of preparing is also a time of learning, even though it's material I've taught before and all of that, it's learning at a deeper level. That I think if we focus on our task and knowing that each time we do that task, it's an opportunity for deeper cultivation, because we still know the same quote fact, but we know it deeper. If we can just focus on that and not be drawn into cursive thought all over the place. So I sometimes think about the preparation as maybe the personal cultivation. The teaching is opening the door for cultivation of others.
Right. It's not one way, you know.
Yeah.
Teaching,
Yeah.
teaching is always, for me, is two way. I think one person tried to talk, but I don't know who. Okay. Anyway, just let me continue. Ooh. Am I going too fast? Okay, so here are some prerequisites of attaining single form samadhi or single practice samadhi. Single form samadhi is, though it says single, but that one form applies to all forms. And then single practice, though saying one practice, but it applies to all practices. Okay? Then let's talk about the prerequisite of attaining this kind of samadhi. He says that one must believe deeply in the law of cause and effect. Okay? And that is the basic, the foundation of the truth, the reality that everything has its cause, okay? Cause and effect. And the second one is one must strictly uphold the precepts. Okay? Not just knowing the cause and effect is not enough. Okay? That cause and effect, it doesn't just apply to others, it applies to ourselves. So when I say that I know, I understand the law of cause and effect, and at the same time, I should understand that if I don't discipline myself, then what I do, what I say, what I think will cause bad result. Okay, so that is why it says right after believe deeply in the law of cause and effect, it immediately it says that one must strictly uphold the precepts. And then the third one is one must have firm faith. Okay, and then we have discussion of the vocabulary faith here with my class here in Austin. And the other day we discussed the four working principles of four Guan Buddhists. One is give others faith. And finally, we come to conclusion that instead of saying giving others faith, we say giving others confidence. That will be more reasonable in the context. So if we discipline ourselves, understanding the law of cause and effect, and then we observe the precepts, discipline ourselves, then our mind, our body, mind will be in a status of more free from afflictions, worries, sufferings. And then with that, we can have more confidence in what we are doing, okay? Because we experience that in our body and mind, okay? And then so the fourth one is one must have conviction to follow the path. So if we have confidence, the faith in the way of life, then of course we would be more determined in continuing in walking on the path. Okay, so therefore, my Venerable Master Hsing Yun says that it is create a psychological foundation, okay, all the above four things, and to have the strength to carry the great Dharma. So every one of us, we become the carrier of the great Dharma. See, isn't that wonderful? Any comments? Okay, everyone. Yes?
Just one question. So when we say faith and conviction, number 3 and 4, how are they different?
Okay, so I have faith, meaning that I have a very strong, fixed, firm trust in this way of life. As a Buddhist, okay, I follow the Buddha's teaching. I understand the law of cause and effect, and then it becomes a guideline for me that I shouldn't say something bad to others. For example, I have that kind of strong faith, confidence, okay? And then, but if I don't have a strong conviction in following the path, maybe the faith, the confidence is just in my mind. Okay, so the conviction will motivate me to follow, to actually live my faith and live my confidence. Is that okay?
That helps. Thank you.
Okay. Next. Ooh. Okay. So in Vimalakirti Sutra, okay, it says that if you wish to attain the Pure Land, purify your mind, and whenever the mind is pure, the land is pure. Okay, and so therefore, practice cultivation is in understanding our mind. Mind is the focus of our cultivation, of our being a Buddhist. Why being a Buddhist? Because we want to cultivate ourselves, right? And then what is that something we need to cultivate? Okay, that which the object is that our mind. Okay, and so in Vimalakirti Sutra, it says that you have to purify the mind. Once your mind is purified, then that is pure land. Pure land is right inside yourself and right around you. Okay, so it's wherever you are living in a pure land. Okay, so for example, if in a class, if your mind is not pure, stay in that class is suffering. Okay, if my mind is not pure, if I'm thinking too much about whether you like my class or not, whether the students are criticizing about my teaching after the class or not, okay, then when I'm teaching, I worry too much, okay? And so the class becomes my Saha world. But if I started from the motivation of my teaching the class, it's pure, okay, then everything, what I say, okay, it's my pure land. And then I hope to share my pure land with you. Your response, your interaction with me in the class, we co-establish a pure land in the class, even though it's just within 1 hour. Then I also treasure a lot about that 1 hour pure land in the Zoom meeting in my small screen. Okay, so that is wherever the mind is pure, whenever the mind is pure, the land is pure. Nowadays, the land becomes the screen, the Zoom meeting. Okay, number 4 is the lineage of the Chan school. And in this chapter, it just lists the very first patriarch of Chan school to up to Huineng Master Huineng in China, meaning that it comes from India and then transmitted this kind of mind-to-mind teaching from India to China, from ancient time to nowadays. Okay, it says that lives of the Chan masters represent the Dharma and are part of the never-ending light of Dharma transmission. So now we are, every one of us in this class, we are reading the Platform Sutra. Okay, and we are representing the Dharma. Okay? And then we also continue the transmission of this never-ending light of Dharma. And that is very important because why we have this Platform Sutra to study today in the 24th century in the States, it's because there are people continue to transmit the Dharma from one place to another, from generations to generations. Okay, so each one of you are very important, and it's like I'm transmitting the Dharma to you, and then you are about to transmitting the Dharma to your surroundings, to your families. That is also a way of transmitting. Okay, that's why I feel happy to be a teacher. You are the carrier, and then you continue that lineage. So when we say, when you read the lineage of the Chan school, don't think that you are just reading a history name list. Your name is also in that list. Okay, and then if you read the book, it only lists to the 33 generation, the 33rd generation. But Venerable Master Xing Yun says that it doesn't stop there, because we are all there learning from the 33rd patriarch, Master Huineng, by reading this book. Okay, so number 5 is the sentient beings within the mind. This is very interesting topic again. So first of all, it gives the definition of sentient beings. So sentient beings in a narrow, what we call narrow definition, it refers to human beings, you and I. But in a broader sense, it includes all that arises due to the coming together of conditions. So tell me, that includes sentient beings, right? We, human beings, animals, hungry ghosts, hellish beings, heavenly beings, asuras, okay? All this. But tell me about mountains, rivers, plants, trees, rocks. Are they included in sentient beings in the broader sense? Yes, yeah, right. Because according to the broader sense, all that arises due to the coming together of conditions, right? Everything that we see in the universe, it refers to this. So the sentient beings within the mind, it's very easy to understand that we say it in Avantasaka Sutra. It says the mind is like an artist that paints everything in the world, right? So everything comes from our mind. It's there. It's a reflection of our mind. So mind is the creator of everything. Okay, so it continues to say that if deluded people of future generations understand sentient beings, that is Buddha nature. So if you understand sentient beings in both the narrow definition and the broad definition, okay, so meaning, okay, we are this group of people, if deluded people of future generations, okay, understand sentient beings in this way, and that is Buddha nature. So we talk a lot about Buddha nature, and we think that that Buddha nature is something hidden inside our mind, and we don't know what that is. But just think about that. If you understand sentient beings, that is our Buddha nature. If you understand the mountain, the river, the rock, the animals, human beings, everything, if you understand all this, that is Buddha nature. Oh, you maybe say that, then wait until I become an encyclopedia to understand everything. Well, anyway, it means that as a practitioner, we should keep broadening our mind to embrace all sentient beings in us. The more we embrace, the better we can see our Buddha nature. And it says, if we can recognize the sentient beings within our intrinsic nature, our Buddha nature will appear. It's saying almost about the same thing. We should reflect upon ourselves rather than seeking the Dharma outside the mind. Okay? And that is most of us as Buddhist students. We are seeking the Dharma outside our mind. Okay? So it just wants us to come back to look inward inside ourselves. And then we say outsider are those who look for the way outside of the mind. And we Chinese, they have a term for this, 外道. You are a 外道, okay? We normally refer that to as someone who believe other than Buddhism, and we call that as 外道, outsider. But here, the definition is those who look for the way outside of the mind. So a Buddhist, someone who claims he or himself or herself as a Buddhist, can be an outsider if he look for the way outside the mind. So that tells us very clearly that we should cultivate or understand our mind. So the master Dongshan Liangjie, upon he got enlightened when looking into the water and see the reflection of himself. And this is the poem he wrote. He says, do not follow others' search from very far away. I am separated. Now I am alone. I go. And everywhere I found the river's path. The river's path is now myself. I now am not the river's path. You should understand it as so. Then one can attain suchness. Okay? Now, the very ambiguous line is fourth line from the bottom. The river's path is now myself. And immediately it says, I now am not the river's path. What does that mean? In the beginning, at first, it says the river's path is myself, because he looked into the river and see the reflection of his face, right? So he says that the river's path is myself. I see my reflection there. But he says, I am not the river's path. Can you see that? You know, the river's path is flowing all the time, right? So when at the moment he see his reflection, and that section of the river already passed. And so therefore, he says that now I am not the river's path, because it already changed. The river's path is flowing all the time. But the reflection he sees there, the face is there. And that refers to what we say that we are changing all the time. But when you look at me, it seems that I stay the shape of face, not changing, right? So changing and not changing. So in this point of enlightenment, he tries to tell us that an enlightened person sees the present moment and the changing moment as one. Can you get it? And then that is going back to the stillness and the moving that we have just discussed. Okay, that you can see both. The middle way is not choosing one extreme. Okay, you see both. You see the river's path is myself, and you also see the I am not the river's path. Any comment on this? It's very deep. So let me have a cup of water.
Thank you, dear Sifu. You're explaining so well. And I was so happy. Everyone should enjoy your time to read the sutra, no matter which sutra. Like this evening, you talk about the Simon Sutra, you talk about Lot of Love Sutra, you talk about the Avatamsaka Sutra, of course, with our platform sutra. I read them a few years ago, and then I didn't know how much exactly I understand. But when Sifu give us a Dharma talk, like completely give me a totally review. And all the time I full of Dharma joy. That means I really get something before. So right now I can enjoy every single sentences that what the Sifu taught. And then I feel so joyful. I like to share with everyone. Please, if you have a chance to read any sutra you like, enjoy it. You never know how much you gain until one day has this kind of course to come up together.
Thank you. So if
they
you
say,
under
why you keep smiling? I say, I'm so happy. Like a child, I'm always saying.
Okay. So
He says,
so
why you
so
always keep
if
smiling?
you
Yes. I say, you don't know how happy I am. Thank you, dear
It's
Sifu.
Dharma, thanks with
Awesome.
Dharma joy. Okay, so if you understand sentient beings, is if you when you really understand sentient beings, the self and sentient beings are not two. Okay, they are not different. And then so that's why it says that we are all one family. There's no difference. One and all. It's the same if you understand sentient beings. So if you have time, going back to the text, going to the book and see how Venerable Master Xing comments on sentient beings. Very important. Okay, number 6, finally, life and death. Okay. It says that the purpose of learning Buddhism, okay, is to solve the problem of birth and death. So just like Prince Siddhartha, he went out of the 4 gates and then he saw the scene of aged people, sick people, and the dead bodies. So he wants to solve the problem of birth and death. And so in this section, Venerable Master Xing gave example of Chan Master Zhong Yan. And this master, he says that a person's birth and death is like a drop of water. So a drop of water, when the bubble of the water rising or falling, the essence of the bubble is still water, no matter whether it arises or it falls down. Okay? And life and death, as for a human being, is just like that. We are that a drop of water. Okay. Now our water is rising. No, I think for me it's falling. And then when it falls down and it will rise again, that is the flow of life. Okay. And so when you see life and death, you should, when we see someone is passing away, there is no need to feel sad because that dying person is heading to a new journey, okay? And this is what I also would like to tell my mom. My mom is 94 years old. Oh. And then he suffered from a lot of physical weakening. And so her mind is still very young, just like a young girl, but just the physical body is not listening to her. So I can see that a person, the mind, you can keep a young heart forever, okay? But the physical body is coming and going, it's aging. Okay? And if you can see the passing away of a person as changing this physical body, then we should feel happy, okay, for that dying person, because that person is going to have a new body, young again. And that's a liberation, isn't it? And so Time Master Bao Fu says that whether living or dying, let nature take its course. Okay. Nowadays, the modern medical science is trying to lengthen our life by giving us a lot of medicine to eat and surgery, a lot of things that can let us live longer, okay? But it doesn't, a longer lifespan doesn't guarantee a happy life. So quality of life is more important than the quantity of lifespan, okay? So just when it comes, just let nature take its course, okay? So it's very beautiful. And Time Master Pu Hua, he says that I need a new robe. I need robe. And people gave him a very expensive clothes. And he says, no, that is not a robe he wants. And one master, Master Lin Ji, knowing what he wants, so buy him a coffin. And Time Master Pu Hua said, this is what I want. Okay. So when can we take this and to ourselves when it is our time to say goodbye to this world? Okay. We want a new clothes, and then that clothes is not this material clothes, it's that coffin. It's Time Master, they are all very humorous, and that is okay. So it give us advices that for time practitioners, we should understand our mind, and then we should be able to see our intrinsic nature or Buddha nature. And to see that Buddha nature, we should be able to understand all sentient beings. Remember that? So by the end of the book, the chapter Final Instructions, it tells us that cultivation is nothing but understand our mind, right? And then what we say that we want to meditate to get enlightenment, it's not seeing the way outside, it's see the way inside. And what is that? That is to see our intrinsic nature. So that is my class for this book, 10 chapters so far. And I hope you all get certain kind of enlightenment, or see something about your self-nature, and then knowing something about meditation, and don't feel frustrated if you cannot go to your temple and then to do sitting meditation there. The COVID-19 help us to know that wherever we are, it's a praise, for our practice. Okay, so thank you for joining, attending the class for 10 weeks. And I appreciate your support, your smile, your questions. And I hope that in future we can continue our discussing about Dharma. Okay.
Thank you, Sefu. Amitabha.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. That's great
Yeah.
compassion.
Thank you,
Great
Shifu. Thank
devotion.
you, everyone.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take care.
Bye.
Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Good health.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.